For I know the plans that I have for you.
Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. 5 years ago, Tyler and I got married, and we had a great marriage, we had a great life, and we started trying to have a baby about a year after we got married. Our bodies had failed us. My body didn't work correctly. I'd had procedures, and we just were not getting pregnant. After that, we went through about 2 years of traveling back and forth to Birmingham. And there came a point in time where where my body was just shutting down, and I was having a hard time back and forth with treatments. It had taken a toll on us, and we basically just needed a timeout. It was very hard for me because I wanted to be able to give Tyler a child from me. It was an emotionally, physically, very hard thing for me just to grasp. All of my friends had gotten pregnant, all of my family had gotten pregnant easily, but I just could not understand why I couldn't get pregnant. It became very clear to me that I had a lot of soul searching that I needed to do. Did we need to continue with our infertility treatments? Did we need to stop, and because no kids were in store for us? Or did we need to consider adoption and fostering? And I felt like I was finally able to go to God and ask Him, for help in that situation. So that night, we went back to church, and I decided that, this was the time for me to ask for prayer over our infertility that Tyler and I were going through. And that night I laid everything down on the altar. I prayed about it, and I decided that night that no matter what happened, no matter what direction God led us in, whether it was to continue with fertility treatments, to stop fertility treatments, to adopt, that God had a plan and God had a purpose.
Our obedience to God to take that step had led us to a situation to where we might be able to adopt a child. What that was God's way in telling us, this is the avenue I want you to go in right now. This is where I'm leading you to go. Jeremiah 29:11, as Rebecca said, says that I have a plan for you. God was showing us that I have a plan for you, and this is my plan.
Prayer ministry. Every day we get a card in the mail.
We have a prayer ministry in our church, and we have, I cannot tell you how many cards that we get, and we keep those just so that we can show when that child comes into our home, hey, look, we want to show you that you were prayed for and prayed over long before you were ever put in our home. We've done everything we could do for us to be ready. This Monday night, we will finish our last adoption class, our adoption and foster class, and we will be approved to be foster and adopted parents. So we're ready.
And it says, for this child I have prayed, 1 Samuel 1:27. I'm stepping out on faith again that we will have this blanket to wrap a child in one day. We've had about 7 different phone calls about children to come in and out of our life. And I've got the question, how do you handle it? How can you stand that? Because one minute you think you're a parent, and 5 minutes later the door closes. And I can't handle it. I've never been able to handle it. I'm a worrier by nature. Tyler's strong and steady, and I admit I am the worrier. But what I will tell you is God has given me the ability not to worry. And what He's done, and my prayer has been this entire time, if it's your will, shut the door. So we know that is not what we need to walk through. And if it is your will, you bust the doors open so wide. So we have no doubt that child is the child you have made for us.